Hello everyone. It's a beautiful Sunday spring day. We're heading for a pleasant 24 degrees. What better to do than a relaxed unboxing? I was thinking, how long has it been since I've done one of those shorter, simple unboxings? I think quite some time. So I felt like doing another one, and I had just the small box handy for it. Now, it had a rough start in life because the box in transit from Europe sustained some heavy external damage. Have a look at that. And I was a bit worried, but as luck would have it, the collector's edition itself, the item, was completely fine, no damage. So this is it. This is the YoungSouls collector's edition. Why did I order the collector's edition specifically for this game? The answer is simple. I played it on Game Pass. I play a lot of games on Game Pass because there are a lot of games there, and apart from the big heavy-hitting franchises, which I tend to not play, mainly because they're big shooters, they do have a lot of indie games, a lot of adventure games, all types of games, puzzle, RPG, hack and slash, Beatemup, everything. So I'm grazing around happily, and I know I'm not the only one because some people on my channel here have told me that they do exactly the same thing. They try a lot of games and then figure out which one they really like, and that's the one they play. And if they want a physical copy, that's when they order one for whichever platform suits them best. I tend to get a PS4 copy if I can, simply because I've got a PS4 collection to fit it in there, but I also often get a Switch physical copy if I want the game to play, in particular in handheld mode. So YoungSouls was released first on, surprise, Stadia, August 2021. I bet they're glad now they didn't just bet the bank on Stadia and also prepared it for other platforms. So in March 2022 followed PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. So let me just get the cellophane off so we can have a closer look at the box and the information on it. The developer is a complete unknown to me. I believe this is their first game, which is quite extraordinary. I'll explain why in a moment. There we are. A sliding see-through cover. And on it, I don't know if you can see it in the top corner there, is the name of the developer, 1P, 2P, and Arcade Crew, who helped them publish it, as well, of course, as the publisher itself, Pix'n Love in France. Okay, so if I'm not careful, this stuff all slides out of this cardboard sleeve. So let's just try and get that all off. And this is the cover as a card as well. So it says Limited Collector's Edition, and the number, it is numbered individually. A total of 1,500 copies, If you check it out on the Pix and Love website, there's an error there. It says 500 copies, which I thought was highly unlikely. So 1,500 makes a lot more sense. And on the reverse side, you see very nice, the typical humour you will find in this game. People call them outcasts, screw people. The cardboard sleeve itself has got a very nice image on the back cover, and on the front cover being heroes every day. Which is, of course, what we all are, naturally, because every day is a challenge. So who are these people who've put out this game that's so captured my fancy? Well, 1P2P Studio is in France, and they were founded in 2017 by two developers, Jérôme Fay and Baptiste Martin, who formerly worked at Ankama, which is a large French entertainment company. They focus on designing MMOs. Okay, you would get valuable experience there, I'm sure. YoungSouls is their first game as an indie studio. These awesome guys have more than 12 years of experience in the video games industry. I love how they describe themselves on their website as these awesome guys. You've got to have confidence in yourself if you want to put a game out. And here's another art card. And on the reverse side, so you can see from those quotes already that the characters and the dialogue in the game aims for a bit more than just, trivial banter. There is a story behind it, and there's character development. Oh, this is the soundtrack. Music by Joachim Neuville. And look at that. What a way to present a soundtrack. So that's what I call a smart and different design. It looks really nice, and I will, as usual, pick a couple of tracks off the OST and use it as background music. So this is the PS4 copy, rated PEGI 16. There is what they call potentially offensive language in there. The twins don't mince words, let's put it like that. It is a Region 2 release. Okay, I've never seen this before. This is part of the packaging. It's one of those cardboard sleeve thingies that they put inside boxes so everything fits in snugly, but they've actually printed it with a design from the game. It's not just a, white piece of cardboard. So that's what I like to see. Quite a bit of a thought has gone into putting it together and designing it. And here's the art book. And of course, I always look forward to the art book. But before we have a look at that, let me tell you quickly what the story is about, the background of the plot. So Jen and Tristan are two teenagers who find themselves suddenly abandoned and without a family until a good-hearted scientist adopts them and brings them into his home within a small port town. Life in Portsborough for Jen and Tristan proves uneventful. Not for very long, we know. Uneventful, that is, until they uncover a portal to another world, which threatens the very existence of life on Earth as we know it. Yes, we gotta save the world. It's always a good one, isn't it? As usual, links and more info in the description below. And on the back of the slipcover, it says, embark on an epic dungeon crawl through the Goblin Kingdom in pursuit of your adoptive father, who I know has been kidnapped. So let's have a look at a short clip I put together for you from a little bit of recorded footage I have from my Xbox gameplay. And I've just unwrapped the game itself. And there is a small colour printed manual included with the game. Very nice, has the basic information about the game. So if you buy the standard edition, that's what you get with it. So now that you've seen just a little bit of the characters, the twins in particular, we'll just have a look at the art book. There's an intro here, a bit of background. An interview with the two developers. Let's see if they have anything interesting to say. So the game was developed using the Unity engine, mainly inspired by 3D beat-em-ups. The studio decided to make its own game by introducing elements from RPGs to the initial formula, much like Dragon's Crown did before them. And here starts the actual interview itself, giving you quite a bit of detailed background into their work and career. So one question is, how did the idea for this project come about? Did you go for this blend of dungeon, RPG and beat-em-up from the start, or did it develop gradually from build to build? And Baptiste answers, we started this project with the idea of making a beat-em-up, not because we were particularly big fans of the genre, but because the gameplay formula inspired us and fitted with what we liked. Also back in 2016, the genre didn't have as much life in it as it does currently, and we felt like there was still a lot that could be done, mainly after seeing Dragon's Crown. Now, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that Dragon's Crown was such an inspiration for them, because I love the game. From the start, we wanted to inject RPG elements into a beat-em-up in different proportions to what you get in the final version of YoungSouls. The more development progressed, the more we favoured the role-playing part of the game by putting more emphasis on the stats and weapon improvements. And that's, of course, an aspect that greatly appealed to me, so not surprising I instantly took to the game. While the overarching concept never really changed, the game ended up mutating a lot in terms of structure. At one point during development we had nearly 25 hours of gameplay, but a structure that wasn't very engaging and sleepy pacing. We can't have people falling asleep while playing it, that's no good. So we cut out over half the content and spiced up the rest. Yes, and you do notice that because the game has terrific pacing and it doesn't feel cotton woolly, if you know what I mean. It feels really compact. It's the same like when you write something and then you start editing and cutting out and you think, oh, I'm taking out something really nice. But in the end, you have a much tighter story or whatever it is you're writing, and the impact will be much stronger for the reader or player in this case. So this makes complete sense to me. They also cover how they found a publisher, what channels they went through. So there's a lot of interest there for people who are themselves involved with indie games, I think. Here's an interesting question. Did you consider making the game 2D initially before moving to 3D rendering? And Baptiste answers, yes, in fact, originally the whole game was meant to be 2D. We started working very early on with Joachim Leclerc, the background artist who produced all the amazing background concepts and provided much of the artistic direction for the environments. After a few attempts at 2D environments, we weren't happy with how it looked. We tried adding volume to a few bits and finally tried modelling the whole lot. We were super happy with the results and so went in that direction. Then the biggest challenge was the best way of incorporating the characters that we wanted to keep 2D. So that is something I think they handled particularly well, you know, the integration of the 2D aspect of the characters and the 3D backgrounds. Now here's a question about the main characters in the game. And Jerome answers, from the very start we wanted to tell the story of a young hero or heroine in the form of a journey of initiation. It's not that original, but it was something we really wanted to do. Then we thought about co-op and the fact we wanted to share the adventure between two players. As such, it seemed logical to give both our characters the same amount of importance, as we didn't just want to come up with a hero on one side and an avatar for the co-op on top. So we then started thinking about the concept of twins and the way the history and the gameplay could be articulated around this pair. We're very happy with the end result. Whether you're playing on your own or in co-op, the way the two of them work is always central and neither one is favoured. We opted for a boy-girl pairing, which seemed more balanced to us, meaning we could contrast their characters and help players recognise them more easily in the heat of action. And it's interesting that they initially thought they would produce the design for the main characters themselves, but then they turned to a specialist in the industry called Xavier Houssin, who is described as one of the best character designers they know, and he came up with a concept that they thought was a lot better. So once again, important lessons. If you feel you can't do a particular job to the level that you want, the best option may be to turn to someone else who can provide that level of expertise you need. I always say it's never wrong to ask for help. And here's a question going back once again a bit to the inspiration for YoungSouls, and they cite in particular that they were both fans of more modern 3D beat-em-ups, especially Bayonetta for its flexibility, and the God of War series for its brutality. The game that really inspired us to make YoungSouls was Dragon's Crown. So there is a lot more here in the interviews. It's like a deep dive into understanding the game and the process of how it was developed that much better. So here we have the design for the characters. And here's Tristan. Here is Jen. There's a section on the enemies and NPCs. Weapons are detailed. backgrounds, and some early concept artwork. 96 pages in a format that I think is really well suited to displaying the art. It's not too big to handle, but not so small that the art doesn't come through. Good paper. The print looks nice. It is not glossy, it is matte. There's a lot in this book. A lot. There's a lot to read and a lot to look at. Colour me impressed. So this was my unboxing of YoungSouls, a game I will enjoy playing on the Xbox as well as on the PS4. It's the sort of game that just oozes character, personality, humour, excitement, adventure, all the things I love. It's a game that I never feel bored with. I was wondering when I ordered the collector's edition what I was doing, but I have to say I'm really glad I did, because it is an exceptionally well put together limited edition or collector's edition. These days, I have commented about this before in other videos over the last year or so, how economies are being made all the time in the items that go into limited editions. So it's nice to see this level of quality and care being applied. I hope you get around to playing YoungSouls. Let me know if you have already or if you're going to. I'd love to hear what your own impressions are. As always, thank you very much for watching and listening. Please keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye-bye. Hello everyone. I want to show you today roughly the first half of YoungSouls up to chapter 5. It's a fairly short game, probably just 10 to 12 hours overall. My footage is heavily edited. It's meant to give you an impression, a taster of the game. So let's go. We start with a bit of a background to the characters and their situation. Here's the professor and the twins, Tristan and Jen. And you notice straight away the one serious drawback of this game is the lack of voice acting. It's my biggest, probably the only serious criticism I have of the game, and it's a real shame because I could see the game coming alive that much more with some spirited voice acting. And here is our first job. It's really a sort of fetch quest, but it's a good opportunity for getting to know the controls. You can see straight away the interface is snappy and user-friendly. What I like about the game is that there is always some talk and interaction between the twins and other people. Okay, we're off to the pawn shop. Taking the bus, which affords us some opportunity for listening in on what the other townsfolk think of us. We don't have too good a reputation, but we aren't really bad kids, are we? Okay, getting rid of the junk as instructed. But here's a surprise, a moped. Well, that comes in jolly handy. I like this bit about not stifling their something developmentalism. Okay, something clearly has happened. It's not good, we know that, and this is where the mystery starts. Yep, our first sword and shield. We are very much in business. Now he doesn't look overly friendly. Interesting. There appear to be differences between the subterranean population. Oh no, oh no, we don't want to die. And there are quite a few of them to get rid of, but they don't prove a particular problem. You see the two arrows there, red and green. It's very, very easy and quick to switch between Tristan and Jen in battle. Just one button press. So we need to get to the library next, and there's a specific file we need to fetch. It's important for the gate. And he gives us the travel rune. Yay, fast travel. Always a good idea to quickly save at important points. Gates are entry points into the goblin world. Whenever you find one, it's activated by the travel rune and connected directly to the mansion gate. So these are the sorts of areas where the beat-em-up type of gameplay happens, and you need to quickly mow your way through the enemies to get to the next zone. And here's the next zone. And another bit of tutorial. You can grab and smash objects, which is always a lot of fun. Now, I haven't talked much so far about the combat system and the fighting controls, but here's a quick refresher. I hope you can read that. The help files are quite good. I needed to refresh my own memory because I started the game back in March and then picked it up again. So there are a lot of good hints here, and they're kept quite brief. And here are your basic attacks and spells and other things. You can really use all the finesse in the game if you like, or just stick to the more basic actions. It both works. Yippee! we cleared the goblin library. Now this guy Dinkoy proved a real ulcer. He's the first boss type enemy, and I had real problems getting on top of him. I probably hadn't studied all my defensive mechanisms enough. His spells just absolutely nailed me down and devastated me. So here we go. He first calls up his minions. They're not too difficult to get rid of. But now comes Dinkoy himself, and a lot of the time you can't see him, and when he's there, his spells just completely disable what you can do. And it's very hard hitting him. A lot of the time he's invincible, so you got to find that one window when you can inflict damage on him. He's got this status effect he's causing on Tristan called, I think, Guard Crush, which is really crippling. I actually don't know how I did it in the end. I used Jen, and suddenly, yep, I did clobber him. That was a bit quick. We need to talk to the mayor. It gives us an opportunity to explore the town. There are several shops and services there. Here at Happy Fit we can strengthen our stats, which is a nice little touch. But it's mini games. Oh, I really don't like mini games. I'm not good at them. So staying in that green zone, they are actually not easy at all. I really struggled. But I made it and got my upgrade. Yay! So now we're at the mayor's office. The secretary is toying with us. Part of the game's quirky and enjoyable humour. And we finally make it into the mayor's office. At first he isn't too convinced, but once Tristan starts talking goblins, it all changes and he becomes very cooperative. Now, the fact that the mayor actually wants some of these runes of power got me just a bit uneasy. Call me suspicious. You should always jump into a well, especially if you have a key. Now here you're going to meet one of my favourite characters in this game. He's called Lloyd. Lloyd uses the word verily in casual conversation. Instant favourite. So we give the healing concoction to Baldwin, and he recovers. The whole system of gates and runes is computerized, very advanced goblin technology. So you want us to use this crazy ancient teleportation technology to perform hit and run attacks on your political enemies? The twins, of course, love it. They relish it. So here we get a chance to adjust our equipment, but there actually isn't a lot to do because Baldwin's stuff is very basic and we already picked up a few items in the dungeons. So we'll start chapter 5, but that's as far as I'll go. So next we'll get another small tutorial. I like how the game spaces them out. And this is about special attacks. Once again, very straightforward with the choice of button. But here comes the really important one, the shield parry. Now, this is an old nemesis of mine because I'm often not very good with the timing. But you'll see here that with just a little bit of practice, this one is quite achievable. Nope. And yes, that one was a good one. Just a few more enemies to get rid of. And I get the Vorpal sword. Yum. I do love upgrading my equipment. Now, I had a look, but I decided I was actually happy with what Tristan had. Checked out Jen and decided to give her the Vorpal sword. This is a beat-em-up after all, so you got to beat up lots of baddies at fast pace. Next comes the guard room, and you know a guard room will have guards in it, so we'll quickly save beforehand just to be on the safe side, and reminds us helpfully that every time you activate a gate you can use it for travelling. And here comes the Guardian Gilmore. Another hefty opponent, but not as bad as Dinkoy, by my grandmother's scarf. Well, we defeated him quickly. I simply forgot to record that particular fight. So here we meet Lundgren after the battle. He's going to be a very useful weaponsmith. And by defeating Guardian Gilmore, we have in fact set free Lundgren. Oh, nice axe. And it pays to always smash stuff. You never know what's hiding. Those healing concoctions are not plentiful in the game. And we are approaching the prisoner's path, which sounds ominous. So I'll bid you farewell here. Hope you had a good time with YoungSouls and gained a good first impression. Let me know if you decide to give the game a go.